Good morning to everyone. I was asked to start the meeting. Our president, Mr. Britsky, is on his way. He's running a little late today, so we'll go ahead and get started with the Transportation Committee meeting for Tuesday, January 7th at approximately 10:01 a.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and do introductions, and do we do a roll? We gotta do roll call, so we'll just do an introduction, starting on the left.
Max Raylander, State Valparaiso here.
Bob Thompson, Valparaiso Transit.
Mitch Barloga, NERC staff.
Mary Tanis, Dyer Town Council.
Margaret Top, Chesterton Engineering.
George Toppel, Union Township, Porter County.
Ryan Lissig, Trek from Indiana.
Dean Button, City of Hammond.
David Phelps, Town Council, Beverly Shores, just a visitor. Austin Banta, Portage.
Or Bob Mercy.
I'm Tom Vanderwood, NERC staff.
And Tom Schmidt from Sherwood Town Council. Audience also.
Charles Bradsky, NERC staff.
Jeff Hewitt, Sherwood.
Andy Hansen, Town Sheriff.
Bailey Chambers, Lake and LaPorte County. Grace Bender, Nursery staff.
Alex Lusker, both from Cypher.
And Wyckoff, Nursery staff.
Stevie Hughes, NERC staff.
Scott Lever, NERC staff.
Liz Bench, Carrie Noble.
Terry Martin, Carrier Gable.
And our new arrival.
Kelly Wenger and Mike D.
Thank you. Next is item 1-2 is the minutes of the November 12, 2024 meeting, page 1 and 2.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We do have some people who signed in on this time sheet before comment, but I think they just
Next item is public comment on agenda items. I do have some people that signed the list here, and you can just let me know if this was signed by mistake or if you do have a comment. The first one is Bailey Tompers.
Signed by mistake though. I'm just gonna sign in.
Okay. Bob Thompson.
mistake.
Okay. Liz Vinci.
I was just signing in for Terry and I apologize.
Okay. And Terry Martin.
Oh, that'd be her.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Moving on, item 3, planning, is the Marquette Greenway progress update. Mitch Barloga.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, I'll try to get
Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year, George. Try to get through this in one piece. Does this have a laser on it? I don't think so. Probably for the best. All right. So I'm going to give you a bit of an update with the Marquette Greenway. Lots of things have been going on and off with it over the last year or so, and some real exciting developments have also come about. So it's definitely worth our time to kind of check out where we're at with the status. This isn't the easiest map in the world to read with lights all over the room, but what we have right now, and this is as current as yesterday, the entire length of the trail, and again, for people that are not familiar with it, it is a 60-mile trail from South Chicago at Calumet Park, 100th Street, technically, all the way to downtown New Buffalo. And it's not the most straightforward route in the world, but we're doing our best. And because it's not the most straightforward route, it's kind of been firing off over the years in different segments. I've been on it for the last now 15 years, working on this. And I'm proud to say that over half of it, 32 miles, are now officially built in the ground that you can ride physically today. And then you add another 12 miles, as I'm going down that key, we have fully funded. So those are ready to fire off very shortly. So within another year or two, you're going to have over 40 miles done. About 15 miles are park funded, and I'll get to those in a moment. We have a little 1 mile planned segment that we're still trying to work out with the city of Hammond. It's a bit of a tricky area by the Hammond Marina that we're trying to work out there, but we think we're on the right track. So again, that's the overall view of it as it stands today. This is not for anyone to try to read. I'm not trying to destroy your eyes today. But what this shows you is approximately $115 million worth of investment thus far for 44 segments of the trail. That may rise quite a bit as we continue moving forward with some of the more challenging aspects of building this facility. But as you can see, it's been a very complex endeavor for these last 15 years, trying to get most of these things done, and also through a range of different land uses. We're talking about local, state, federal land uses that we're working on. We're working hand in hand with the National Park Service over there. They're dealing with their land holdings. Of course, we're dealing with everything outside of it. And so far, it's been a great relationship. Just want to bring you up to date on some segments that are challenging, and right now we're trying to focus on developing. This one right here, again, this purple line that you can see up on top is a segment in West Gary. Klein Avenue is all the way to the left of your screen, and on the right of your screen is Bridge Street. There is the Marquette Greenway that picks up over there at Bridge Street, and we have about a 3.7 mile segment that we've got to work on. That sounds straightforward enough, but we're talking about rehabbing a bridge over the toll road and building a new bridge over a Canadian National track and doing some road dieting as well on 4th Avenue to make this work out. Of course, it's our intention for the entire 60 miles to have this separated from vehicular traffic as much as possible. It is sharing some residential roads in some of the quieter streets of the city of Gary, which we just really had no other way around, but the vast majority of this trail is off-road and separated from vehicular traffic. The bridge on the bottom there is the existing South Shore, the old South Shore Bridge that actually took traffic into downtown East Chicago before they rerouted the South Shore line to the south of the toll road. That is there. That is hulking. That is not going anywhere. It is steel. It is concrete. It is sturdy. Let me give you another picture here of what's on top of it. And as you can see, it's quite safe. So we're looking to rehab that. Unfortunately, at this time, the landing of that particular segment when you come to the south of the bridge is in a DNR nature preserve area. I say unfortunate because you can't do much there. So we're trying to work with the DNR on working on a switchback bridge to at least make it work out. Things are tight. As I said before, we don't really have any straightforward routes. We just can't say, hey, it's an abandoned right-of-way, let's go there. So we're doing our best to make do with what we have. So we're hoping to get that bridge rehabbed as part of that project. Going back again to the actual scope of it, this is going to be part of another RAISE grant. I'm working with the city of Gary, also with the city of Hammond on an application that we hope to get in by the end of the month to build this particular segment and to get this underway. We did get that original RAISE grant that many of you heard of, but we also lost a lot of that grant because time went on, inflation went up, scope went down. It's a long story. But we do have some engineering that we're seeding for this project, and we're hoping to make it all whole with the next RAISE grant that is going to fire up later this month. So again, just some attractions. We are eventually going to go past Union Station in the city of Gary, which is being rehabbed right now by the Duquesne Devils, and we're hoping we can work with them very closely on making that an attraction as people are along the route. Some other parts of the route that are under development. This is primarily the National Lakeshore. You see a dark red and more of a teal route there. Everything you see in teal to the right-hand side of the slide is looking to be built next year, maybe this year or next year by the National Park. That's including a trail from Lake Street all the way to Grand Boulevard. If you're familiar with the area in Miller, there's a bridge there now. It has not been used in 20 years. They're tearing it down. There's no use anymore. They're putting a whole new bridge up. And so what they're going to do is start the trail at this time at the parking lot of the Douglas Center, continue to the east over the new bridge, and then they're going to pave what's called the Marquette Trail, and they're going to pave that, turn into Marquette Greenway, and that goes to the county line. Now everything going east of there or everything going west of there, Lake Street, is a bit tricky, although it's a pretty straightforward plot of land, as you can see from this picture on the bottom right. but we have some land ownership that we're trying to work out there. The National Park is trying to work out with the city of Gary. There's also right about where that number 6 is, and please ignore those numbers, that's just from a previous application, but it's good to guide you. Number 6 is a bridge that did exist over the Norfolk Southern tracks, and unfortunately Norfolk Southern tore the bridge down. Now we're looking at almost a $10 million facility to make that work again. It's quite a crossing, so that was a lost opportunity for us trying to work with Norfolk Southern to say, hey, hold off on that. We could probably rehab it, but here we are. So maybe it won't be 10 million, but those are things we got to look at as well. And again, that's all within the purview of the national park. Some other things to show you as well. Again, not the easiest slide to see, but this is where we're at. If you look at the very bottom of the slide, you'll see some dashed lines. That's where NERC is located here in Portage. That's State Route 12, or US 12 to the top, State Route 249 on the right-hand side. And we're working with the city of Portage right now. We have the mayor with us, of course, but he's been very active on trying to make this connection here. Ameriplex Road at this time stops as a dead end over there and has been for quite some time. We're trying to make that go all the way up to US 12, pretty much the entrance of Ogden Dunes at Hillcrest Avenue. And alongside that roadway will be built the Marquette Greenway, much like it is as you just entered here when you turn in for the offices. So we're very excited to work with the city of Portage on that. We do have some seed money for some engineering, and we're working with the railroads right now. I'm getting an at-grade crossing at that location. One thing you want to know, and anyone who knows about railroads, the first thing they'll tell you is that we don't want at-grade, we want a bridge. It's like, well, it's a great idea, but that particular area is very tricky. You have tracks, you have cars, of course you have roadways, you also have overhead wires. So you basically have a bridge that's doing one of these things just to avoid everything and make sure the clearances are all there. Makes no sense. So we're hoping we can get at-grade done. We have enough right-of-way to work with and to make that connection clean and smooth and to work well with the city of Portage on the redevelopment ideas. As you continue from here, this is actually just going west of us, east, I'll get it right, going east of us through the Ameriplex development where Bass Pro is. This was recently just opened last year, a great connection to Burns Harbor. And regarding the Burns Harbor area too, again, nothing straightforward here, but what you see here between our offices way to the left and all the way to 149 all the way to the right is a big patch of green, and right in that patch of green is where we laid the trail. Everything you see on this screen is built. It's in. It's done. Very proud of it. Worked very closely with the town of Burns Harbor. Very thankful to people like Tina Rongers, who was a real champion to make that work and to get this connected over there. We're right there at the very top right of the screen. You'll see that we have an endpoint that we're waiting to kind of continue on. Get to that in a moment. That includes this. This is a connection through the National Lakeshore National Park on the Burns Harbor segment. This is what's also called Minoki Prairie, and we're working with them to make that happen on the red line. That would start over there on the west side where we have the trail built today, kind of as an overlook. You get to that point, you get to look over that land, and then we're going to go underneath the Norfolk tracks, continue our way up to what's called the Little Calumet River rest area on Howe Road. And Howe Road is part of the trail. It's part of the Brickyard Trail that connects the town of Porter up to the National Lakeshore. So now you're actually going to have a real definite connection for people that visit the national park. I think about it's close to 3 million people visit the national park every year. Now they have an opportunity to kind of stretch their wings, ride their bikes, and continue on to our area, and of course, points east to New Buffalo. Had some wonderful grand opening just earlier last year. We had the part in Burns Harbor opening up here, and of course, as I said, it's a nice, attractive route through some neighborhoods and through some woodlands. And another great opening for the Calumet Trail, finally, after forever. When I first was hired here some 21 years ago, we had some real problems with the Calumet Trail. It was rebuilt as a kind of a gravel route for some environmental issues, but it was never regraded, so immediately it flooded. It became basically our de facto water trail. But thankfully it's been paved in asphalt very well. The first 2 miles and the back 2 miles of it have been done in asphalt. And these drains, as you can see, these culverts, they are just all over the trail. It's been risen, and it's also been culverted, so it's as dry as we can make it out there, and also as environmentally friendly as we can make it as well. So A lot of props to Porter County government for finally getting that done and off the ground after these many years. What remains of the Calumet Trail, again, hard to see if you can make do with that red line. You have two lines there. You have a teal line and you have a yellow line. The teal line is the existing Calumet Trail. Now, as I go back a slide, you can see that picture all the way to the left. That's kind of the entire Calumet Trail. Really, that's all you get for 9 miles, that view. Those big tall poles and everything else. And to say it's monotonous is, on point, but it's also very hot. You have no shelter there, there are no trees. So the idea would be to kind of wind the trail along that yellow route through the trees, through some of the canopied area of the National Forest, of the National Park, connected to some areas of the National Park that kind of been long abandoned and forgotten, and to make that work, getting people off the actual corridor for about 4 miles so they can kind of take a breather from the sunshine and make that a more attractive route. So that is what came about here with this reroute. It's been done, it's pretty much all done. It was funded by Next Level Trails. There is a bit of a gap there, probably on the very east side of it, that we're still trying to find money for. But we're looking to have that started up as early as probably this year to get people from the Dune Park Station to Kemmel Road, at the very least, and get people starting to move throughout that corridor. Now, Michigan City is the next big construction piece that continues from there. The Calumet Trail starts on the very, very left side of this, or ends on the very left side of this where Michigan City commences. You see the green there is done and built. You see a deep red there that we still have to build. This was funded and has been fully funded by the RAISE grant that we previously received in 21. It does involve right-of-way. It does involve building a trail on the north side of the Amtrak there through the Long Beach and Michiana Shores area. But at this time, we're working very closely with Michigan City to get those properties done with and to get things moving along. They're hoping they can get out there and start constructing that project probably next year. And if you take a look at the very upper part of that screen, that's about a mile on the right-hand side of your screen, about a mile of trail that is already in the ground. That's LaPorte County. That was a separate project, and that is done from the borderline of Michigan City all the way to the state line. And that's what it looks like today. You see there's a Michiana Shores entrance sign, which is right there at Grand Beach Road, and again, that's next to US 12, and there's our trail. So we have this trail that is now connecting to the state of Michigan, kind of knocking on their door. So the state of Michigan has been very active, and they want to see this trail connect as well. They had a groundbreaking for their segment from New Buffalo down to the state line last year, and to say the least, they've been rocking and rolling on it. This is a corridor of trail, again, a little hard to see, but you have US 12 on the left-hand side. We have Amtrak on the other side of the fence, that fence they asked us to put in way on the right-hand side, and of course right down the middle there is your trail. You also have a buffer area with trees that are being planted as well, so you do have a nice area of separation between users and of the busy highway itself. And that is a roadway that is pretty much contiguous for about 2 or so miles, close to the state line all the way to the downtown New Buffalo. Right now, we still have about a mile of trail left to build from this part to the state line. That's going to be part, and probably firing up at the same time that we get the Michigan City part built. This, by far, was the most challenging part. We had a ravine to cross over as well, and that's been taken care of. As you can see on the left-hand side, as you're running along US 12, you can see it right there. And we even have some great signage that's been installed in the Michigan area. For 4 miles of trail that they have been entrusted on this Marquette Greenway, they have been amazing stewards of it, raising quite a bit of private money to kind of get it over the finish line, and we're very proud of the efforts they've done. And when you get into Michigan City, it's Michigan City. You get into New Buffalo itself, you actually get a paved, concrete, a wide trail that runs along US 12 at that point, and that takes you right to the heart of New Buffalo, and eventually right into where people travel and so forth through Whitaker Street with all the shops and restaurants. So before I go, I did want to talk about one last item that did hit the radar last year. If you take a look at this map that I showed you before, there's a couple things here that we're trying to highlight. First of all those stars there, those yellow stars, are major connections from the Marquette Greenway to the actual lakeshore. Okay, we were trying to get people to the lake shore. As you can see, there's a bit of a gap between East Chicago and Gary for obvious reasons, industry and so forth. But as you can see, there's a number of different possibilities. And if I layer that on top of those are the South Shoreline stations as well. So we have this amazing opportunity to make these connections for people to our lakefront through the South Shoreline and of course through the Marquette Greenway placement. So I'm proud to say just last month we received, and we, along with all the major community foundations in Northwest Indiana, received a NWI Thrive Award. This was a $20 million grant that was received from the Lilly Foundation to make these connections happen. It was awarded to the 4 foundations in the region, with I believe Legacy being the lead agency. These projects, again, will help make the lakeshore more accessible, as I mentioned before, with many different connections from the trail and from the train station to the lake. And again, from the stations, as I mentioned. And what I like about it is that we have put together a Friends of the Marquette Greenway group. And we're going to get an initial $400,000 cut of that money. So it's always good to put a group together. It's even better to have money to work with. So we're going to be able to get a group together, talk about what we can do with that money. It is really for perpetual maintenance of the trail and enhancements of the trail, seed money of it. And we're hoping we can get that fund a lot more endowed. We're trying to follow an example in the Cincinnati region where they raised $10 million for such a fund. So we're a bit off right now, but again, a good start. It's hard to read all of these. This comes from the application that was sent to the Lilly Foundation, but you can see a number of different connections are made here. There's a connection that we're trying to get done in the central part of the city of Gary, in that Union Station vicinity. We're trying to get people from the Marquette Greenway in Miller Beach along Grand Boulevard to Marquette Park. If you are familiar with Grand Boulevard, it is very wide. It's about a 5-lane roadway that could easily be 3 lanes, and so we can hopefully work with that. We have another connection in downtown Beverly Shores as well, connecting people there to the campground. And a very exciting development all the way to the right-hand side of the slide. Pine Avenue is going to be turned into a cultural trail experience from downtown Michigan City all the way up to the Marquette Greenway, where they're having a new development called Soho. And if you're familiar with the cultural trail in Indianapolis, you can envision this happening in downtown Michigan City. So a very exciting development as well. Now, you have $20 million to throw around. So $20 million covers a lot of different things. Not only the projects that I mentioned here, you're also talking wayfinding, and you're also talking about other types of work as well, with interpretive signage and so forth. So again, lots going on, lots of things firing, and we're hoping over the next 5 years we can happily spend that money down. As for getting things done, hey, there's a QR code. We are trying to raise money for the Marquette Greenway. We have a challenge grant currently underway by the April 1st deadline to raise $50,000 to make $50,000. So if you can help us out there, great. And we're hoping to raise that private money and continue forward with the project. So I'm going to leave that up as my thank you slide and take any questions. Yes, sir.
David Phelps, Town of Beverly Shores. We've talked frequently.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for championing this project. Otherwise, it probably would have never gotten to where it is. So thank you. Happy to see that you're looking at an endowment for maintenance. Who will have the laboring oar for maintenance along the trail?
Who will have the what again?
The laboring oar. Who will be responsible for?
Well, that's going to be, a lot of the communities, well, pretty much all the communities in this region maintain their own trails. It's kind of understood that once the trail's in, they take care of it from there. However, the Marquette Greenway is a different animal. It does go through some distressed communities that may not have the resources to take care of the trail. And it's just one of those things that we're just going to have to work on with the communities to find out where there are deficits. We believe that many of the entities can take care of the trail and have taken care of the trail, but there are some that might not, and we want to come in and help out where that is. Dean.
For the record, there is a route through the Hammond Marina now. It's a shared road.
Very good. Get that identified. Thank you, Dean. Anyone's been to the Hammond Marina area, it's a bit of a tight fit, so it's good to hear. Yes, David.
One more question. Any progress on the rail crossing with Amtrak at the end of Whispering, whatever that trail is?
Singing Sands?
Yeah, Singing Sands, yeah.
Well,
Whispering something.
it's amazing how difficult it is to work with Amtrak. I mean, especially when you try to hover over them with federal legislators, they still don't care. It's like, wow, it's amazing. They've been putting off the, as you know, the city for years on that, and if you ever driven past it, you come to some concrete barricades, which puts people in the street trying to get past that. They're finally talking to Amtrak. They talked to Amtrak in Michigan, and they finally found a person, and there's finally communication happening between Michigan City and Amtrak on that crossing. So where it goes from there, I can keep you posted, but I think a lot of people would like to know when that finally comes through, especially me.
Well, as you know, that is extremely dangerous, and, you know, it's lucky somebody hasn't been killed there yet. If there's anything we can do from a political standpoint, you know, let us know, and I'd be certainly happy to help out on that.
We may need to talk, you bet. Any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mitch. Excellent presentation. It gave us a lot of information.
Thank you, Tom.
Our president has arrived, and we'll move into number 4.
Thank you so much for taking over for me. My apologies. My last meeting was late. Maybe I should let you continue. Oh, Lord. And welcome back, Mitch. It's good to see you back on.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Let's see you on a bike next week.
Trust me, I'd love to.
We're going into programming, which is public comment on amendment 2404.1, 2404.2, 2404.5. Yeah, that's for the transportation improvement program. Charles Bradsky is going to present. This is on pages 3 and 4 of your packets. Afterward, we'll discuss resolution 2501, fiscal year 2024-2028, TIP amendment 04, etc. Mr. Bransky.
Good morning, everybody. Just to simplify everything, there is a memorandum on page 3, which it's 3 pages. It's 2 and 2+ pages that describes what we are accomplishing here. And mainly, there's 136, 48, 150 projects that are on this resolution. The reason there's 3 different amendments, and I tried to explain it in here, but after the projects are approved here at NERC, they will go into 3 different directions down at the state level. We'll have some projects, there's 136 of them are exempt from the air quality conformity process, and they're pretty much straightforward. They will get put into the STIP much quicker. There's 2 projects, however, that do need air quality conformity analysis, and so that the intergovernmental consultation group will look at those 2 projects more in-depthly. That's why those 2 projects are set aside. If we didn't separate those 2, then they all would go into, all the projects would go to the air quality conformity process with the ICG. And then lastly, we have 12 projects that are transit projects, and they go their own separate route down at the state because they're transit and not infrastructure projects. Again, like I said, it'd be simpler if you just kind of go through those projects. I could go through them if you would like, but we'll be here for another half hour. Moving on, the public comment report. NERC did not receive any public comments, or any comments, I should say, on any of the projects in any of the amendments. The amendments were made available at NERC's website as well as several social media sites. And again, like I said, NERC did not receive any comments from the public, nor did we receive any technical comments from members of the ICG. members of the ICG are IDEM, Federal Highway, Federal Transit, NDOT, a couple others that would have gotten in there, and mainly they're looking at air quality and making sure that the technical aspects of the amendments are true. So,
Do we have any questions for Mr. Bradsky?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
move to make a favorable recommendation to the full commission for approval of the amendments.
Thank you. Do we have a second? You have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And this will be presented a week from Thursday at
yes.
the regular NERC meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Next, we'll go on to topical committee reports. Do we have any NERC topical committees that will make a report? Apparently not. Reports from our planning partners, Try to Clean Indiana.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. So we do have some grant funding that's going to be, or that is available. It's due on January 9th. This is the EPA Clean School Bus funding. The Indiana National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Round 2 is going to be coming out shortly. This is going to be 80% funding for publicly accessible DC fast charging for electric vehicles, and also a whole slew of alternative fuels that will be coming out soon. There will be a meeting at IUN on January 24th. There's going to be Indiana Diesel-Wise funding. This is grant funding for off-road equipment. This is going to be coming out shortly. The equipment in the grants must be replaced / scrapped. We will be having a webinar to discuss this further. We do have Partners for Clean Air scholarships. These are $2,500 scholarships for high school seniors. That is due on April 30th. And the next round of clean fuel infrastructure grants are going to be coming out here in the spring. And that is 80% funding for EV, hydrogen, CNG, and propane. And just some other news. We were awarded a clean heavy duty vehicle program grant from the EPA, $9.3 million for a $15.6 million total project, 32 electric school buses. We do have a Department of Energy internship this spring, and it is a paid internship. So if anyone's looking for, has college students that they know that is looking for a paid internship, this is a great opportunity. We will be having a winter webinar series focusing on first responder training for CNG and electric vehicles. And then we have our stakeholder breakfast on March 5th down in Indianapolis during the work truck week, which is March 4th through the 7th. And we do have free passes to that conference. So any questions? Mr. Koppel.
The applications for that scholarship, where can they be found and how are they being distributed?
You can be found online at our website, drycleanindiana.org, or you could go to IDEM's website, and I will also share the link with you, and I'll share it in my notes as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other business, staff announcements, and upcoming meetings. Transportation Committee 2025 meeting dates are in your packet. And probably the last page, page 9. And make a note that the meeting in September is the 9th, not the 7th. So that's the only change I see on that, that will be September 9th. Not September 7th in 2025. Any other discussion or comments?
Visit Economy in Places tomorrow at 10. We're here.
Okay. Economy in Place will be tomorrow here at 10 in this room, right?
Sure, the best way how
and acceptance of committee appointments. you got any?
So I can explain this. So we have asked that all of those commissioners who wish to designate a proxy for this committee provide some kind of written, can be as simple as an email, written statements designating who will be representing their community at the committee. We have received, as of this meeting, we've received 3 letters. So we've got Jeff Hewitt as being designated as the proxy at the town of Schererville, Mark Odell for the town of Chesterton, and Bob Thompson for the city of Valparaiso.
That's gonna change.
Yeah. So Bob introduced himself as from Valpo Transit, so he'll likely return as the designee for Valpo Transit, and Max will
Actually, proxy for the mayor.
Yeah, so I would say if you're here as a proxy, I would ask that you speak with your mayor or town council president, try to get that email sent in. And if you're here as an elected official, if you have somebody in your organization that you'd like to designate as a proxy, please just let us know. And this is, if I could just say one other thing, this is really just so that we can determine whether or not we have a quorum at these meetings. So we know who's representing which community. And if there were ever a situation where we had to tally up the votes, most of our votes here, as you know, are pretty much unanimous. So that's not been an issue in the past, but if there was a situation where there was a split vote and we had to, make that determination, we know who's able to vote.
On the rare occasion, we do have disagreement. We know who the designated party is. And if you have a representative as an elected official, make sure that person is going to represent you well. And I hope Dean talks to the mayor of Hammond. This is an annual thing we go through, just to make sure we've got a person here. George.
Mr. Chairman, Ed Morales, trustee from Porter Township, is now commissioner at Porter County, and Chris Hendren is caucused in as the trustee. So how are the newly elected or caucused in officials notified? And if I can help, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, we will reach out to them
Okay.
individually and let them know.
Yeah, that's a staff responsibility that they do
Well, I just
every
want to make sure
election.
I know how difficult sometimes it is to get people to.
However, what would help if you have Mr. Hendren's contact information, get it to Ty Warner. I've done that with a few people myself.
Okay.
I don't know Hendren's contact information, so.
Well, but you know his wife.
Yeah. I kind of know him too.
Well, she works for the assessor. Yes,
Oh, Mary.
If you choose a proxy for this committee, is it applicable to the regular meetings, to the commissioner meetings, or do we have to have another application?
We don't have proxies.
We don't, yeah. We don't have proxies.
We don't have proxies for the regular meeting.
For the, yeah.
There's no proxy, you can't have a proxy for the regular commission meeting?
No, they did make an exception years ago for the city of Gary, but I don't think that's possible anymore. I don't know, there was an exception to that.
Okay,
But
because
they
at one
want
point
the
I
elected
did appoint
officials
somebody
and
because I
full
couldn't make a
commission.
meeting and the person came and they did speak.
Meredith,
There can be you can reappoint, you can appoint someone, but they have to be appointed.
right.
It can't just be a proxy.
It has to be a letter.
Oh, yes.
It
Yeah,
has to
well,
be an
that's-
appointment and then an appointment back, so.
That's a difference between
Exactly, yeah.
proxy or,
Gotcha.
and it seems to me that years ago that Gary did that, but then we started the habit of, okay, you can appoint, and hopefully that person will appoint you back to, as the elected
Yes,
official.
okay.
Yeah, but it has to.
But in our,
Okay.
people are free to attend the committee meetings, but we need to know who's the responsible voting party for that community. So that's why mayors can appoint someone on their staff or anyone for that matter to represent them in their city. Excuse me. Any other announcements from the staff?
I have a few announcements, staff announcements. First is just an update on the NOFA process. A number of working groups, if you'll recall, as we're sorting through and scoring applications for transportation projects that were submitted in response to the NOFA, those will be reviewed by our former topical committees, which are now just essentially ad hoc working groups throughout the remainder of this NOFA process. We do have some meetings scheduled. The former Surface Transportation Committee will meet on Tuesday, January 21st at 10 a.m. And if you have any questions about that, please speak with Scott Weber. The EMPC group, or the environmental group, will be meeting Thursday, January 16th at 10 a.m. The former land use committee, if you remember that group, please watch your email. You'll be setting that meeting up at some point this month, as well as the 3PC, Pet Pedal and Paddle Committee. If you have questions regarding the environment, please contact Kathy Luther. If you have questions regarding land use, contact Iman Ibrahim. And for Pet Pedal and Paddle, contact Mitch. And then the Transit Operators Working Group has actually met multiple times already last year. They met most recently and agreed on sort of a framework for how they're going to fund operating assistance and capital projects. So staff is already working on putting together that kind of preliminary program. Again, the goal would be to have an actual draft tip ready for the Transportation Committee in March. And then secondly, I believe I mentioned at a previous meeting that NERC, along with the 3 counties, applied for a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. We were awarded $400,000 for a regional safety action plan. We have a kickoff meeting scheduled this Friday with the Federal Highway Administration, and we expect to begin procuring a consultant to complete that work in this first quarter of 2025. It's a bit complicated because we are going to be working with representatives from each of the counties, so it's a bit of a hybrid plan. For those of you who are in municipalities that have also been awarded those grants or have already completed your regional or your safety action plan, we will be reaching out to all of you to ensure that our efforts are coordinated but not overlapping. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be providing updates throughout this year. And that concludes my staff announcements.
Also listed on our agenda is the Economy and Police Committee, as Mr. Doble said, January 8th, which is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Leadership Committee will be January 24th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. And the full commission will be January 16th, a week from Thursday, at 9 a.m. in this room. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 at 10 a.m. in these offices.
Hey, Tom, sorry, when was the next EMPC meeting?
So this is a working group to look at environmental applications, and that's tentatively scheduled for Thursday the 16th. So it does.
I thought you said
overlap.
The 16th will be our
it does overlap.
full commission.
It does overlap with that meeting. Yeah. So we will look at that. It's 10 a.m. Starts at 10 a.m.
Okay. So it's not January 13th. It's what I thought it was.
Did I say 13th?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, I meant to say 16th.
Can you clear that up again?
I've got it as Thursday the 16th. So if you're part of that group, you will have been, or will be notified of that meeting.
clarification.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if the 24th is a typo or if the meeting's been changed, but the website shows the leadership committee for January 14th.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
It's a typo.
Yeah. that's true.
Thank you.
Good catch.
So there was a mention earlier that Scott Weber is running the surface transportation. I'm grateful that Scott is back with Emergency. He was gone for a short period of time, but Scott is a tremendous help to our LPA, and we're grateful to have him back.
I'm glad he came back. We recognize that. And we'll see everybody on the 4th, Tuesday the 4th. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. Make Mr. Sharkey. So much.
Well, somebody.